Alright, welcome. Sorry for the sound of the dog drinking, if you guys can hear that. He's just lapping up water in the background. How's everybody doing? We got a bunch on Twitch, we got a few on YouTube, and a few on Facebook. Alright, cool. Well, I'm getting back to this piece, for those of you guys have been following for a little bit. And I'm also going to be encompassing... Can you guys hear me okay, by the way? Is this coming in alright? Looks like levels are pretty good, I guess. I'm also going to be working on... Alright. Working on Mufasa here. Getting back to this guy. I'm going to try to hammer this out this month. Try to get this done. What's up, buddy? You want a treat? Today's my dog's birthday, actually, too, so... He's getting all the treats. Good boy! I have a corgi, for those who don't know. I might bring him up here before the stream ends. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to be working on Mufasa a little bit later. I'm going to be using some of his clouds and actually bringing them over into this piece as the supports that will be underneath the wings of Cupid here. And, you know, everything's still in blocking mode. We're not really going into high detail yet, so I know there's anatomy issues. Nothing's final at all yet here, but moving along. So I did some reworking here off stream a little bit. Did some reworking on the wings and a little bit of rotation on just how they're positioned with each other. Basically made sure to make sure the arms were still wrapping around the right way. I might have to tweak some things there a little bit, but... I'm definitely going to rework her hand. I think it still looks kind of weird. And a few other bits here. Definitely going to be moving her arm around, and the cloth will be resculpted as well. So, a bunch of stuff that's going to happen here. So, anyway, let's get started. Rio Cristo, hi. Is this going live now? It's going live now. We're good to go now. So, yes, we are live. So if anyone has any questions, I've never been the best at just announcing everything that I'm doing. So if you guys have any questions about anything I'm doing, if you don't know, feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer. Okay, buddy, that's enough for now. We don't want you to get fat. All right, chill. My dog is like sniffing at me now. He's just like, that wasn't enough. I want more treats. But then he'll weigh like 50 pounds and won't be able to walk. So I've got to gauge his weight gain. One thing here I didn't like too is just how her elbow. Hey, buddy, enough. No more. No more for now. He's poking me with his nose. One thing I didn't like is just how her elbow here is just a little bit too... It's a little too twisted, I think. I think her elbow needs to be facing inward a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, I guess back... I don't know. I mean, I guess it's okay. I'm trying to think of how... I think I could be a little bit... I think I could use a little bit of rotation. So, that's what I'm going to do. Oh no, all her hair is gone. Oh my god. What happened to all her hair? So how's everybody doing in this post? I feel like we're in the tail end of the COVID crap. I feel like it's time to open things up. It's time for people to start getting out and back to some regular life. Slowly getting things on. Seems like a lot of the numbers are proving we gotta protect the older, but let the young get out there and start getting back to work, getting back to life. Restaurants are starting to open up around my beach area, which is awesome. I actually ate inside a restaurant without a mask with friends. It was fantastic. Feels great to just get back to normal life and having a drink and some food and just having laughs and celebrating birthdays. And like, my God, I've missed normal human socialization. Ugh. What do we say? It's very difficult to see the channel is online or not on the top left with this new PP. top left. Difficult to see if the channel's live. To see if channel is online or not on the left side. I'm not sure what you're saying. Nettle flap? Is that what this is? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're. I'm not sure what you're saying exactly. If you want to rephrase that, maybe. Why is it difficult to see if the channel is online or not? Are you talking about like on YouTube, just with the, or on Twitch? Is there some sort of, did they rearrange the UI or something? So just double checking. Let me know if there's anything I can help. Just checking on YouTube. It looks fine. All right. Well. Anyway. I have a problem modeling. All right. So Rio's saying having a problem modeling a bend into a limb for some reason. Used a mask on the area, inverted it, and then the gizmo, and also a transpose line, but somehow keep losing position. On Twitch, offline channel icons are black and white, online are colored. At the moment, it looks as if it's offline since the icon is black and white. Okay. I see. Still laggy as it was with Ashley. I'm trying switching back to YouTube. Yeah, guys, if you have trouble on Twitch, come over to YouTube. YouTube's been pretty good from what I've seen with a lot of live streams lately. So if it's laggy on Twitch, just jump over, join us on YouTube. So Rio, with your technical question, trying to bend at the elbow, but it pulls away. Have you rotated your model to make sure that you have your? I would say use a transpose line. Don't use the gizmo. So if you want to do that operation, so you click on rotate up here, hit Y, draw out your transpose line. So right now, if you just draw it right on the model, it'll adhere to the surface of whatever 3D model you're using. And then of course you want to bring it into the center of that area as you would for a bone, right? Make some small adjustments here. And obviously I should probably have made this mask down to her rotator cuff so that it makes a little bit more sense to be rotating where it should from the shoulder. Like that. And blur it. And then invert. So this is basically what I'm about to do is what you're trying to do. I mean, you're trying to bend at the elbow, but I mean, I'm still doing something similar. So when you drag from the middle area here, that rotates around itself like this. So when I'm clicking on that white circle and then dragging down, that's rotating around the longest axis, I guess you could say in this case, the drawn out axis. Just letting you know. Hi Daniel. Hello. Like trying to bend the elbow is pulling away. It seems to be much better. Cool. Glad YouTube's working out. Yeah, Twitch can be weird. So yeah, Rio, I'm not sure if this helped. Like, I can just do something completely wrong here. This is going to look weird, but if I just did this quick and blur that. Actually, I can undo this too, so then it'll look better. So if you're trying to build it, bend it, excuse me, you want to just make sure that your transpose line is centered for the most part. Oops. And then you just do this. Is that what you were trying to do, or is there something else that you're struggling with? Placement with this also, you have to realize it's never going to be completely perfect because you don't have, you haven't rigged it, so it's the polygons aren't bound to a really great skeleton. So the best I would recommend is that you use this, and then you have to do some touch-ups by hand to resculpt certain areas where the skin and the folds will be, to kind of get it to look correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so if you try this, I don't see why it shouldn't work unless there's some sort of weird glitch going on. But I think what I just did, what I showed you, that should work for what you want to do. All right, I'm liking that better for the elbow. Ah, come on, work with me here. Okay. So I'm thinking I'm gonna move her lower from the hips down. I'm gonna kind of reposition this a little bit. Kind of transition her, because the original sculpture, for those who may not have seen it, is this one. And I have the 3D print in my office. I don't have it here in this room, so I can't show it to you right now. But this was the original piece that I made. And so from this position, chill, buddy, chill. Whoops. From this position, we're going to this one. So trying to estimate, where the legs would be. So I'm thinking probably swivel the hips around a little bit, and then bring the knees down a little bit and over. Anyway, I don't know. Thinking out loud. Okay, so Rio, you're saying I think it was a placement error. Thanks. Yeah, I think that's probably what your dilemma might have been. Bad Straw Biz. What's up? Is that strawberry? Is that supposed to be strawberries? Straw BZ? Bad strawberry. Okay, yeah. It's Julia. What's up, Julia? Thanks for jumping in here. I see your working bodies. House strategy for modeling over thin shapes, like for example, if would want to make jaw mask with panels. Rio, you're for Paul Gaboury. Side note: a while back was making a set of theater teeth. Oh, cool. And a DMD. I'm not sure what DMD is. We milled them, but would love to redo them with printing. Yeah, 3D printing might be the way to go, and you can use some. Form Labs has some awesome resins you can actually use that would be safe to be in the mouth. For Well Dante Sparta, you're asking what would the strategy be for modeling over thin shapes. Like, for example, if we want to make jaw mask with panels. So are you talking about like almost like a helmet, kind of like a thin sort of layer on top of the jaw? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Strategy for modeling over thin shapes. So you mean panels, like you're talking about, like you want to do like an extraction? You kind of want to do like a thickness, sort of like. Let me see if I can show you here on. I'll do this on him. So are you asking? You're saying yes. Okay. So you're probably what you want to do. Dude, relax. My dog's like getting super. He's getting pushy. No more treats on. You're gonna get fat. I don't want you to have a heart attack for your birthday. So if you wanted to do something like, I don't know, like a Batman kind of cowl, like Batman. I'm actually working on a Batman Beyond model for a buddy of mine that we're going to be, I think we're going to be offering up on our rig site soon. It's something similar to this, except I have to work with what we already have because the model's already been made, so I'm just editing maps. But if we had to do something like this, I guess this is probably what you're asking, or something like this. So You could mask, right? Like this. And then just do a very simple extract operation. So you'd want to come down to extract here in your tool palette. And I'm sorry, I know my video's covering up the top portion, but I think everybody knows what the tool palette and the top looks like. It's just save, load, all that basic stuff. So you want to come extract, and then you want to choose your smoothness, your thickness. Like, probably don't want it that smooth. Maybe like 2. Thickness, I think 0.02 is like leather, if I'm not mistaken. And double-sided, forget how that looks. It's been a while since I've done extraction, but we do this. Bam. Actually looks really thick in this case, so we probably want to do like 0.001. Let's try that. Try again. Boom. And then we can say, if we like that, we say accept. And because it has some of the mouth in there, so it's got that in there. But if we do a quick clean up, auto group, and delete, you see it's getting some of the interior stuff from that other model. So take that out, delete that. This is what we got. So then this is how I would model a thin, if you wanted some sort of like extrusion or like a bevel off of something that's conformed to a surface. This is how I would quickly create something like that. Does that help you out? Is this what you're looking to do? Bruno Fonso, thank you, man. I would love to visit Brazil, hopefully after all this stuff calms down with outbreaks and whatnot. You can get down there eventually and do a vacation or something. Brazil looks awesome. Yes. Okay, well, if you follow what I just did, hopefully that'll work out for you. And of course, I just did it really quick and dirty, so please, don't judge me on this too harshly. But this would be the way you would do that. Of course, you'd want to make your mask extremely clean and polished. If your topology is very clean, that helps a lot. That helps your extraction be very clean. If it's not, I would almost recommend Z-remeshing the model that you're going to be extracting from. Duplicate it, Z-remesh it, do it at a rather high level, I guess, or mid-range, depending on what your needs are. Make sure you have clean edge loops along that flow in that general direction, so that you have a nice clean, extraction. Because right now this is extracting from a messy. I mean, this isn't that messy, I guess. This was a bit triangulated here and there, as you can see, but depending on what your mesh looks like, your underlying mesh, that'll dictate what your extraction is going to look like. So, keep that in mind. Let's delete that. Because yeah, this mesh is like all kinds of triangulated and decimated, so it's messy compared to what good topology should look like. So, hello from Colombia. How's Colombia doing? You're welcome, sir. Hope it works out for you. Alright, so now we're going to do a little hip movement here. Oh, wrong thing. Blur this. She's all kind of tessellated or triangulated too, so not the cleanest mesh. But I don't know. I might start doing the. I mean, it doesn't work with Move, but I might start doing Sculptures Pro with some of this, because I've been messing with it a little bit and saw that it really does help with certain things like this. Okay. And then go back to solo. Oh, wrong kind. Let's see here. Yeah, it's really not. It's not distorting very well because of the triangulation. Well, I guess I'll move it first and then I'll. Yeah, that's the one that's like, eh. I think some of this has to do actually with like her right leg being moved forward a little bit, and then this one maybe rotate it down and forward as well. So it may not be such a gross movement with the whole hips and down, but maybe actually more of a individual leg kind of thing. I'm really wishing I would have worked with a quadded mesh from the beginning, because I had all those different polygroups in there already, so it was a lot easier to select individual appendages, but make do. Now I gotta make sure we're not merging these parts together yet. Yeah, no, they're independent. Okay. That's going to take too long. All right. What is that record device doing? Oh, it's actually, I should turn that off. Yeah, it was playing a record that I was listening to. I love records. I grew up listening to my parents' records all the time, and then as things progressed and we got into cassette tapes and CDs and all that good stuff, we moved away from it. But I recently got vertical record player because I've always wanted one of these for a long time, and I think because of COVID and lack of work, a lot of people started selling things that are like hard to find. So I found one at a decent price and got it. So hearing some wobble in it though. I'm not sure if it's because some of the records I have are warped a little bit, or if it's that this has some distortion to the platter, I don't know what you call it. So I've got to maybe take it to like a record repair shop or something, and we'll see. Also, I'm going to be munching a little bit on some food. Excuse me. I'm starving and I haven't eaten much today. Yeah, it is vertical. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, if you look up the Gramovox vertical record player, It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome design. I loved it. I think it's Gram or Gram O. I think it's Gram O. Vox vertical record. If you look that up, you might see it. And what was that? I thought it was just a record, but heard no music when I muted the stream, so I got confused. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Another Colombian. All right, hello from Colombia. Apparently, we are popular in Colombia. All right, so now what I'm going to do is auto group these guys. So now we got 2 individual polygroups. I'm going to do that again because it looks like the yellow one. There we go. So now this lets me manipulate those 2 a lot easier individually, which is what I wanted to do. And I bring everything back. Let's kind of get my bearings here and like where I'd like to move that leg. So let's see, I'm gonna bring back everything. I'm gonna control click on that. We're gonna grow our mask a little bit. Oh, auto saving, which means time for a bite. The Matrix lamps as well. That's funny. Everybody always mentions the Matrix. Matrix poster. I love the Matrix. The first movie was freaking awesome. One of my top 3 favorite films of all time. I'm cautiously optimistic about the next one. We'll see. We'll see how good it's gonna be. Hopefully, it's good. All right. I'm gonna mask the buttocks a bit. Yeah. Derp. Julia says you're digging the UI setup. Thanks. Yeah, it's different. It's a lot of it's standard, but then I've added a bunch of stuff to it. A lot of the buttons on the bottom are just stuff I frequently use the most, and then same with the top. You know, it's just, I guess that's kind of logic. That's like obvious, right? Like everyone makes their UI to hold whatever they use the most. I just find going into menus to select all that stuff is just always a pain, so if I can have it out there, first quick draw kind of stuff, like, why not? So, there she blows, Captain. I don't know. I'm being weird. But yeah, there's the UI. That's what I use on the daily. We got a good number of people in here. You need to redo yours, yeah. Yeah, you got to, you get accustomed to. It takes time. I've added to this and taken away from it over time as certain tools have become more useful to me than others. And then I find like, oh, there's a good tool that I should have out here, and so then I'll bring stuff in, and then I'll realize sometimes I'll bump a button that I didn't want to hit, and then, excuse me, then it'll do some action that'll either crash ZBrush or it'll, it's like I had certain things here, I forget what I had, but that's why there's some weird kind of bumpiness here to like, it's not a very clean, sleek all the way across, because I removed some buttons that I would hit now and then by accident, and I'd be like, shit, and then I wouldn't want to have that happen again, because then it would crash ZBrush or it would take forever to get through a process, and so I was just like, forget that, so. Oh, scene 430, Greenwich from Portugal, learning ZBrush. 430 Greenwich. Again, not sure. Not sure exactly what you're saying. I know something Greenwich from Portugal, learning ZBrush. Huh. Not sure exactly what you mean, buddy. Prefer blue tones in the user interface because the standard yellow is strong, aggressive with my eyes. Yeah, it's like an orange. I think orange interface works for some things and not for others. I think if you're, I don't know, like Half-Life, the game. If you guys have ever played, oh, Time, gotcha, sorry, yeah, the Time is in Portugal. The some crazy good art, very inspirational. Oh, thanks, man. What was I saying? The orange interface. Yeah, I think like Half-Life in the game, Half-Life, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 1, orange interface is very prevalent, but it still has a softer kind of tone to it. It's not quite as in your face. It has a lot of like transparency to it. And sometimes you need like bright highlights when you're in the middle of like action and everything's going on. It kind of lets your eyes focus on what you need to do in the game and what you want, weapons or whatever you want to select, and then move on. So yeah, but I hear you. For something like this, I like a minty kind of green color. And it's been kind of my preferred color lately, as far as UIs go. It's sort of reminiscent of if you have like a mesh in Maya and you select it. It's all this mint green kind of color. I like that color a lot, actually. So figured why not bring that pleasant hue into ZBrush, since I spend most of my time in ZBrush. I will be spending more time in Maya and Unreal as time goes by, as I'm polishing my skills in both of them, but especially in Unreal. I'm working on some pitch pieces that will be executed in there, which means I've got to be good with Unreal, and I've got to get good rather quickly. So so I've been watching you sculpt this piece. Is it feeling similar to those of Greek, Roman, and Michelangelo sculptures? What characteristics do you think generate this style? What characteristics? Characteristics do I think generate this style? I'm not sure exactly. Maybe you want to rephrase your question. What characteristics do I think generate this style? I mean, it's classic. I mean, it's classic anatomy structure, epitomizing and accentuating the beauty of the human form. There's a very extreme amount of romanticism to the whole thing, both in the metaphorical and literal sense. It's a very romantic story in a sense, and it's an epic story that it's based on. It's based on a mythological story of Cupid descending to save Psyche. A very almost biblical kind of, level to it as well. And that's all those elements are what attracted me to it. Just that it has such a hyper glorified, beautiful, epic, exciting, sensual. Just I'm normally bored with human figures in general because I used to work in an emergency room and I studied so much anatomy and viewed so many people. So many human forms, and then took drawing 1 and 2, and it's just tons of life drawing it. So I think the human body is amazing, but I'm also not that excited about sculpting it usually, unless it's some piece like this that really gets me, my imagination kind of fired up, and it really is something that I think is like epitomizes the human form and really kind of, I don't know, just it excites me. It moves me. It makes me. Touched me in some way, I think, in my soul. I don't know, it sounds so overdramatic, but when I saw the original piece, images of it from the Louvre, I was just blown away. I just thought, this is so fantastic, and I wanted to do this piece, or actually the one before it, I wanted to remake Canova's original masterpiece for a long time, since I started learning ZBrush. I think I really wanted to do it, but it was other things that kept either coming up or other projects I was a bit more excited about or just needed to get out of my head. And that's why I never got around to it until now. And streaming for Pixo was a great excuse to get this. Actually, I did this first. The first one I did for Ultimaker with Wacom for a masterclass. And then eventually said, hey, change things up on the stream. I think people were getting a little bored with how I was struggling with Mufasa as I was trying to get those clouds to look right, and I don't know, I was hitting creative blocks. So I figured I should get back to this idea I've had where it would be cool to see a continuation of the story. After he's rescued her, he's awakened her. Like, how would they ascend out of hell, essentially? So what do you see? You said, I see a lot of stylized art and even very realistic in video games and movies, but there is a uniqueness to this style which I have found hard to capture. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. There's a certain level of reverence almost for the human form, I guess, in this sense, and it's I don't know how it's classical sculpture. I don't know how else to look at it. It's just the epitomizing of the human form and the posture, and just really accentuating both the genders and the form and cloth and sort of bare essentials, to the human form telling a story. It's not like it's with tons of armor or tons of extra props. It's minimalistic in that sense. What else? Any recommendations for applications younger beginners can learn that build skills needed for ZBrush? We teach underserved youth, and many need to develop more basic skills first. Thanks. They released ZBrush Mini today, and it is exactly for what you just requested. It's free. And sure, you're welcome. Yeah, recommendations for build skills needed for ZBrush. I mean, ZBrush is its own animal. I mean, so the skills you need are you have to have an understanding of sculpture. I think that is fundamental. Really, I mean, you can definitely dive into ZBrush without a sculptural background. That's not required. But I think one thing I've learned early on is classical skills in art are, you cannot overstate how necessary they are to become a better artist, and that translates directly into becoming a good sculptor and a good ZBrush user. I think if you know how to draw traditionally, learning how to observe, and then accurately observe, and then accurately recreate what you're observing, that's insanely important. I think there's a lot of artists who go into graphic design or go into some sort of artistic or creative field, and they can't draw a stick figure. No jokes intended or whatever, but they have a hard time doing that. And then they learn how to click and push points around, and then they start thinking they can create art, and maybe they can, but it lacks some of that, I don't know, that formality that you need, right? The foundation. I think that really helps. Once you learn the rules, then you can break them, that kind of thing. So I think that's what's important for whether you're underprivileged youth or you're somebody who's just looking to get involved in a new hobby. I used to work in an inner city area teaching kids the foundations of art. It was through a church, and I'd help them with their homework, and then also help them with basic things like color theory and learning how to draw, just simple things like that. And I think it just can't be overstated that you need to teach kids the foundations of art. I think even a little bit of art history, show them some really beautiful pieces. Inspiration is a huge motivator. I was just having a conversation with an educator about this today, actually. He runs a really fascinating school of art in Florida. It's a pretty renowned one, actually. I had not heard of it until recently, but a friend of mine recommended me to talk with them about doing a presentation there and online. And anyway, we were just talking about the lack of a lot of kids seem to not have a lot of inspiration. Sadly, they don't seem to be as motivated as, I guess, other generations or other times. I don't know. I think they get depressed by what they see in the world and intimidated by the challenges. And he was even saying how some of them were even saying how they look at like getting a basic job and they're like, well, I just can't even get a job as a grocery store clerk because there's so many automated systems taking that over, and it just seems. I mean, I think it's a bit of an exaggeration. I mean, it's what he said. I mean, I'm sure they're saying that, but I still see a lot of physical people in grocery stores. It's not all self checkout yet. But I hear what they're saying, and I think they're just looking at they're focusing on the negatives, I guess, and focusing on limitations. And another conversation I was having with a friend today is the importance of a motto that I developed as I was moving out to LA about 6 years ago, which is there's two ways to look at life in general, really. You can focus on limitations, or you can focus on possibilities, and that's a motto that I live by. If you want to succeed in life, in anything, you can either defeat yourself from ever accomplishing something that you want that might seem impossible by focusing on all the limitations, all the barriers in life that life throws at you, and we all have them in one way or another. Or you can say, what if? What if I focus on the positives? What if I focus on possibilities instead of limitations? And I think that you'll find that you'll succeed a lot more when you start looking at potential rather than potential of yourself, rather than things that are roadblocks. You got to figure out how to overcome them. But kids need that. Kids need hope. They need motivation. They need inspiration. So I think you have to inspire them by showing them works of art, whether it's even movies, games, making of movies, concept art from games, whatever. You got to find what connects with kids and help them be inspired, and then show them how they can make that, right? Like show them how the foundations of that all start. That's I think hugely important. I was really lucky as a kid to have very creative and supportive parents. My dad was actually a draftsman looking to become an architect for a while, and that was what he really wanted to do, and then he wound up sort of falling into engineering and electrical engineering for buildings and advanced systems of all kinds, and he was very successful at it. Wasn't always what he set out to do, but I saw him drawing a lot and doing a lot of draftsman work when I was younger, and that excited me about drawing. Just seeing the clean lines and just incredible beauty of just the elegance and great form and designs that he would be working on. And I just thought, how do you do that? So I asked him, how do you draw? And of course, he was nice enough to show me some basics. Just even knowing how to use gentle amounts of pressure, like very fine, gentle pressure to draw very soft, very faint lines as your basis, right? For your, draw the one oval, then you draw the circle, the circle and the egg for the head, or like, what's that joke that they always have? Like, draw a circle for the owl's head, and then draw an oval for the owl's body, and then draw the rest of the fucking owl. Like, that kind of thing. Of course, he was more gentle with me in that whole area, but I remember those were the foundations, right? So, like, basics of art. And then as far as like learning ZBrush, if you wanted to like really get kids started in this, I would say even messing with just Sculptress. I'm not sure they still even offer Sculptress anymore. I don't know if it's still available. But there's also there's other software out there. You can buy some apps on I think it's Forged or Forger or something like that. It's on iPhone or iPad. You can learn to sculpt like this in a much more user-friendly, very reduced, basic interface, and it's very cheap. I think it's like $4 or $5, and you can download it into your iPhone or iPad and start doodling away, sculpting away, and that would definitely get you primed for a more professional program like ZBrush. Anyway, sorry, I've just been blabbing on, and all these questions are popping up now. Was it the Dave School? No, not the Dave School, actually. G-Star, I think is what it's called, or it's part of the name. Limitations versus possibilities. Possibilities are the best. Totally agree with you. Thank you for the advice. Yeah, sure, man. Or miss. Man or ma'am, whichever. They still have Sculptress. Okay, good, cool, yeah. I would say, dude, yeah, get Sculptress. Let them play with that. It's much simpler and I think very user-friendly to dive in and kind of just get your feet wet, and it will be a great stepping stone into ZBrush for sure. Do you think you can learn to sculpt in ZBrush well without any art background? Don't mind learning about art or anything like that. Just not a fan of the idea of actually practicing in physical mediums. I hear you. Yeah, I think you can for sure. I know you can. Because in the end, it's still, whether you're sculpting digitally or physically having a tactile sense of working on clay, your brain is still getting electrical signals that are what your eyes see, in 3 dimensions, and then getting that in there. I think there's something to be said that just, you know, actually holding something physical and pushing that medium around, there's something that does sort of, you know, crystallize something in the brain. This is a Raptor I recently printed on my Form 3. First time I've ever printed one of these guys on the Form 3, and it turned out awesome. Still a plug. I'll probably be auctioning some of these guys off on eBay. So I think there's a benefit to understanding how to work in the physical medium to some degree, because that just sort of helps your brain crystallize certain neural pathways. But I think you can learn, of course, to be a good artist fully digitally. I still think it's important to be able to replicate form in 2D and 3D from observation, which means no cheating. You know, you can't trace something that you can't trace, right? In other words, if you're drawing from life, you can't literally trace that because your eyes are perceiving it and you're going back to the page and then you're doing this, and you always have to look 10 times more at your subject than you do your page, right? That's the kind of general rule. And that's teaching your brain how to kind of do snapshots and do like rapid, you know, comparison, differences, different engine. You know, your brain is a difference engine, really, is what it is in a lot of ways. It compares incredibly fast what's familiar, what's correct, what matches, what doesn't. Right? That's how we notice patterns so quickly in life, in the world. So I think there's something to be said about observation and replication, whether it's digital or physical. I think that's really important. So practice, you know, like anything, it's all practice. So I guess that's my, I don't know, does that answer? Does that help? Let's see. I think Pixologic just released a free version of ZBrush. There's also a website called SculptGL. Oh yeah, I remember hearing about SculptGL a while back. Holla. Buenos OC. Buenos noches. Buenos noches. You can take ZBrush Core Mini. Inspired to see the Cupid legend and sculptures on the website. Those sculpted curvy hairs and tension against imminent movement. Thanks, man. Wanted to form a 3, but I mean, even proprietary resin tanks that are expensive. Yeah, they're not cheap. I wouldn't call them cheap by any means. But I will say, and it's not just me being an ambassador for them or anything, because I don't like get free anything just for saying this. I mean, I occasionally get some gifts, but it's not because I'm advertising really for them. But I mean, I honestly think you get what you pay for, man. And pretty much, isn't any printer pretty much going to have proprietary tanks? I think any SLA printer has to have proprietary tanks. I've heard you can sort of refill them, but eventually they force you to replace the tank. Yeah, I mean, the tanks do wear out because of the plastic, and the laser just burns through the silicone. When it becomes cloudy, then that distorts the light, and then the light doesn't accurately hit the resin, and so then you have a chain reaction of errors. So yeah, I think you get what you pay for, though, man. I mean, it's you know, you can get a cheap printer, or even not that cheap, but you can get an FDM printer or other printers that will have other kinds of problems. You know, I mean, they clog a lot and they get annoying after a while. They're finicky, and I worked a lot with FDM or FFF printers, and you know, they're fine for rapid prototyping certain things and just testing things out in a kind of a more brutal, kind of rough way where you can manhandle them and not be worried about cost of something really breaking. Time is still always gone, which is even more important than money, really. But you can always mess with those kind of printers. But if you want really high quality, like near finished product level, even better. Honestly, I would say in some cases 3D prints are even better than a finished product as far as the detail you can get out of them, because they often mold those as masters, and sometimes the molds just, they get smoothed out, and then you get like paint on top of them, and then it smooths out even more, and so you lose all this fine detail, and you wind up getting this kind of like smooth, kind of muddied sort of replication of what was incredibly crisp from the print. And of course, I know that there are certain molds and certain people who really can master that, and it's not that bad a loss of detail, but I've just seen too often mass-produced anything, statues, toys, whatever. It just gets reduced in quality so much from a print, a lot of times. Or maybe it was just that the people who sculpted it just didn't really give a crap, didn't really do a good job. I don't know. I'm kind of a fanatic for detail. Excuse me. Oh, you mean the container you order the resin in? Oh, okay, got it. Got it. Sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, we wouldn't call them so much as tanks as cartridges. The tank is like the vat that holds the resin that's deposited into for the laser to hit it. Yeah, the cartridges eventually need to, yeah, they need to be thrown out. I feel bad about that because there's so much plastic in that. I really hate that. And I would hope that, and I've expressed that to them many times, that I don't even like printing something that I have to throw away or that's a failure, because even that, I don't want to put that kind of plastic into the ocean and the world. So I you know, and they're aware of that. They're aware of how many of their users and the people in general just are concerned about plastic waste. And I would love to see them, you know, the dream would be to create something that's biodegradable. You know, that everything that you're throwing away is biodegradable, or even, I don't know, I have to think about this. Like, it's somewhat cool to have things that you can pass down as heirlooms, but most of the time I think plastic products, bottles, toys, whatever, a lot of them are not going to be beloved to the point where you're going to pass them down for generations. They're going to be thrown away or lost or something. I mean, it would be great if there'd be some way of ensuring that once they hit the environment, you know, or just even after like 100 years, they just degrade naturally into something that's safe for the environment to absorb. Rather than just indefinitely existing past generations, you know. I think most of our plastic products will outlive us, for sure. And that's kind of sad, scary for the world. It's like we opened Pandora's box when we created plastics, and I think people didn't really have an idea, or they just didn't care that they would have such a negative effect with their extended lives. But it's a shame. It's looking a little messy. And do that. And blur a little bit more. It's a very nice pose, Master Dan. Thank you. Master, can I ask something? You don't have to call me Master. You can ask anything, dude or dudette. But they're expensive and eventually force you to throw them away if you refill them because of the built-in chip. Right. You can still tell them to use it, I think. I've never tried to push one to keep refilling it to the point where it's empty, and maybe I have actually. I have printed a couple times where I refilled it. It said it's empty, and it's like, do you want to continue? And I'm like, yes, because I know it has enough resin. And then it's like, okay. But I don't do that a lot, because the other problem with them is the valve, dude. The valve can sometimes give out, and then it just dumps the entire contents of the resin cartridge into the tank, and then it overflows. And then I've had some problems with that once or twice. It's a nightmare. For jewelry, do you think it feasible to make a print for each piece rather than the rubber mold and wax injections for many iterations? Well, what they do is they have these for, you know, they have the to make a print for each piece rather than, I mean, yeah, there's a couple things. They have printers that can print metal, right? So you could technically print that and polish that, but most people won't have access to that. So they have wax. They have printable wax now where you can burn out for jewelry specifically from Formlabs Rio. So you can print an incredibly detailed master, then mold that, burn it out, and then, you know, fire in real metal, liquid metal, and you know, get some incredible work out of that. I do understand the tank stuff, but I mean, some printers just use a liner that is easily replaceable. I don't see, and you don't need a new tank. Yeah, I've seen some. I guess some people do that. That might be a better way to do it. You know, honestly, if they were to create a liner that you can always install safely, you know, that might be a better way to do it for sure. I'm trying to think how you say that. Is it the Thibault method? It's like almost like Thibault, but it's not Thibault, because I know friends of mine who last name was Thibault, and people would be like Thibault. It's like, no, it's Thibault. TB method. Anyway, you're welcome. What else? How can we rigging this model with realistic skeleton like Mortal Kombat? What? How can we rigging this model with realistic skeleton like Mortal Kombat? Do you mean how could you rig this model, or do you mean how could you put a skeleton inside these? I'm not sure what your question is exactly. Eventually, it forces you to throw it away from what people have said online. Yeah, I guess so. Even if you refill. Yeah, I guess so, which is not cool. Castable resin, yeah. I was thinking to this to maintain detail and weight. Yeah, I think the castable resin is probably your best option for this kind of jewelry work. There's some really amazing stuff. I mean, if you look up what some of the leading 3D artists in jewelry have made, it's pretty awesome stuff. There's some pretty insane stuff. There's an acquaintance of mine who he 3D modeled his girlfriend's engagement ring, and then I think he got it all produced and everything, like 3D printed and then molded and cast in real metal, and gave it to her. It was incredible. It was really, really beautiful stuff. Sorry guys, just changing the music up here quickly. If you guys are interested, by the way, I don't know if anyone out there likes electronic music, but if you do, I highly recommend this stream by Mr. Paul Oakenfold. It's awesome. Just listen to that track, and now I'm going to be popping on his 500th celebratory stream. Just at 500 episodes. It's crazy. Good times. For those who don't know, Paul Oakenfold's like a legendary DJ who's made some fantastic tunes and remixed some amazing songs and promoted and really fostered just incredible electronic musicians who've really been a big influence in my life and a big inspiration as I've grown up. Got to meet him once and seen him live a bunch of times here in LA, and the dude's awesome. He's a class act, stand-up guy. I like him a lot. A friend of mine might be interviewing him in the near future too, which would be cool. No other questions right now. Cool. So yeah, the guy asking about rigging a model with realistic skeleton like Mortal Kombat, you're gonna have to specify what you mean, man. I'm not sure if you're just trolling or joking, or like I'm not sure exactly what you're not exactly sure what you're asking. I'd have to give me some clarification. Alright, sorry, I just focused on that foot for a while. Don't mean to bore anybody. I'm just trying to think of what the best posture is. It's almost there, I guess. It's kind of an awkward. It's kind of an awkward angle. Just trying to think how much of your angle, how much can you bend inward like that? That's barely. I think that's kind of pushing it actually. That's almost a broken. That's a broken ankle, I think. Let's see here. Don't want to do that. Might have to cheat a little bit and just knock down the stone or kind of bunch up some of the cloth underneath her ankle there to kind of create a clean transition up the whole way, because I don't want there to be a hole in between there really. That won't really help anything. It'll just weaken the structure and also create an area of potential failure. It's best to have the base be as solid a piece, as unified as possible. Little things that aren't supporting the whole overall structure, like this cloth flaring up and other pieces, will be fine. But for the main part that'll be supporting, you know, a lot of the weight that'll be up here, I think it's important that there's as few holes anywhere as possible in the bottom, which is also why I'll bring in the clouds here. Actually, it's about time to do that too. I'm trying to segregate these into 2 hours, so we'll do about an hour on Cupid here, and then an hour with Mufasa. But I'm going to bring in those clouds here first, I think. It's going to mess with this cloth here a little bit too, and see what we can do here with yeah, I think I might just push that cloth underneath her foot. Has anyone mentioned every so often your whole stream glitches out graphically for just a moment, then returns to normal? No, I mean, are you talking about just my stream, or are you talking about like Pixologics in general? And how does it look like when it glitches? Yeah, if you could describe it. But I haven't heard anyone mention that before. Yeah, I see it. Is there a way to rigging this model with skeletons instead of Z-spheres? Oh, okay. It's a good question, because I'm only starting to learn rigging now. Very, very basics of it. I mean, I think you could rig it, but it seems like you'd almost have to rig a T-posed character first, and then position that character in these poses, and then animate from there, I guess. I guess that's how you do it. But again, these aren't quadded. These aren't like really beautifully ready to animate meshes right now. These are all triangulated and kind of a mess because I had triangulated them for 3D printing. So there's that. How did you go about sculpting the cloth? I could show you. My stream. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm doing that's causing it to glitch. That's weird. I wonder what it is. I wonder if is it this cable? I wonder if it's the cable going into my Cintiq. I don't know. Is it the whole screen, or is it just the ZBrush feed? Like just this screen, or is it my camera as well? 100% just your stream. That's it. It is best described as it almost looks like screen tearing, and it's just on your stream, nothing else. Thanks for the compliment. The whole thing. Okay, weird. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's my computer. I don't know. It's weird. I have a beast of a computer though, so I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Unless it's something with, I don't know. No idea. I'll have to ask the guys at Pixologic and see what they say, if they can identify what might be the culprit. No idea. Sorry. But sorry for that inconvenience. I don't know. I don't know why it's doing that. Sorry, one sec here. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. It could be, maybe it's my internet. I don't know. My internet's, it's like not the fastest, but it's not the slowest. I got to upgrade it actually. I got to call Spectrum and give them a mouthful because I had a whole bunch of weird cutouts and stuff during end of May. Could be just overload on their server, but I don't think so. Overload of their service, I mean, because everyone's on the internet. But I don't know. So right now I'm underneath the model here, just kind of editing the floor part so that they are just touching. Alright, let's see how that looks. Not that anyone's going to be really looking quite right there, but yeah, it works. I'm just gonna mess with this a little bit. Sculpting cloth, it's really not, I don't know, I don't think it's that difficult. It's like anything, it's just time consuming, just like hair or anything else. Of course you could do like Marvelous Designer. I haven't really taken the time to learn it. I really need to, because anytime you have to make human cloth or any kind of cloth, it just seems to do such a better job of naturally draping over something and just immediately getting that form once you've cut your pattern out. So I've got to learn that. Let's see here. Can I post a link? I clipped it for you if you want. Sure. Yeah, you can post a link. I'll check it out. I mean, so with cloth, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can tackle this. Let's see, who was it who was asking about the cloth? The one and only Stack. All right, so there's a whole bunch of different ways. I don't even forget how I started this one because this was like a couple of years ago now. I think I might have just started this one with like clay, like the clay build-up brush. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do it. Let's see here. Let's see if I just wanted to like... I'm not sure what I'm really going to do here, but I'll just do like a replication of some of this cloth. So let's just isolate this for a second. So yeah, I think you can kind of see here like some of that left over, because I did this in a rush too. I was like trying to get this done ASAP. Whoa, it's way too strong. Oh yeah, this is still triangulated. Fuck. Alright, this I can... I think it's safe to say I'm going to Z-remesh this guy, because there's not much benefit to keeping this the way it is. But I don't want to destroy the vase, so I'll just do this. Duplicate. And then select that out. Do. Ah, shit. Gotta scroll down here. See, love the sculpture, man. Oh, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Trying to make something cool. Whenever I work on a personal piece, I really want to make something spectacular and something people want to look at, something that people enjoy as much as I enjoy it, hopefully. Or at least close to it. I mean, I'm never 100% satisfied with my own stuff. I see a lot of the flaws in it, so I try to take all that with a grain of salt, though, because I realize from other friends telling me, they're like, jokingly telling me, dude, you see in 4K. That's the phrase they use. Like, not everybody sees things in that crazy, hyper crazy amount of detail. Like, don't worry about it. They're not going to notice that little thing that you consider a flaw or whatever. I'm an obsessive detail kind of person, like, stupidly so, probably. But I think that's also what keeps quality high. So it's all good. I just got to tell myself, I got to remind myself, like, it's typically not going to be criticized that harshly by most people. What I'm doing right now is just cutting out these extra bits of geometry that are attached to the floor, and then I'm going to just close this guy up and then make it a separate object so that I can ZBrush the other one and then boolean these together, and this will just sort of overlap the other one and cancel it out, or I can just even chop it out and delete it. So sorry, this is not very exciting, but this is kind of a technique you might have to do if you ever try to tackle something that needs this kind of work. Like, this is sort of like what like working with scan data is like. You'll get these weird smushing and melding and melting of things into other parts of scan, and you got to delete it, and then either recreate the opposing side that you're kind of cutting out, or just close it up. In this case, we're just going to close it up because there's just no reason to create the whole vase, niche. Everybody says things differently. But nobody says tomato, potato. No one says that. Everyone says potato. Everyone says tomato. Anyway, what do we got here? Let's go to... You just said it. You know what I mean. Niche. Those are the differences. People are like, oh, it's a niche market. A niche market. Ha. Alrighty, I think. What do we got here? A Mitch market? Niche or niche? No Mitch. Mitch market. Are you working with screen tablet? And if so, is it better than regular tablets? Yeah, I'm working on a Cintiq. I like it. I prefer it over a tablet, a Wacom Intuos, but I have worked with both. And a lot of times studios will have you set up on a machine there, and they've just got a Intuos tablet, which I hate, but I mean, I hate it because I like working on screen. But you know, I could easily just throw this up on my other screen up here, which is straight in front of me, and I could just work like this and not have that weird disconnect like I used to when I first started. But I just prefer to work on screen with Cintiq whenever I can. Is it better? I mean, I've seen people do just as great of work on a Intuos tablet, you know, working on the screen like that as they are working on a Cintiq. So I don't think that one's really better than the other. I prefer Cintiq over tablet. So I'm going to delete hidden, and then I'm going to look at this and say close holes. Before I do that, just quick save just in case any hiccups happen. Close holes, bam. Check mesh, good, nothing crazy. And we got two different poly groups there. Sometimes what I like to do too, just to embed the other one a little bit better, is I control click on the new poly group and then hold shift and drag down a little bit just to extrude from there to embed it kind of solidly-ish. You know, it's, yeah, there's some artifacts in there. I might have to just, again, push up some of the ground to kind of cover up some of that, but no big deal. Alright, getting back to this one. Okay, so I'm going to just Z-remesh this guy because I can do better. I like your sculpt master. It's really professional. Thank you. You work with screens. Yeah. Okay. So, yep. Niche. All right. So adaptive. Put that at 37, my age, and put this at like 3. Let's go. See what this looks like. Let that process. I'll get a bite to eat. Excusez-moi. Slide off camera to consume some food. How's everybody doing? Is everyone opening up again? I mean, are people getting back to normal now? Starting to get back to work or get back to, you know, life? I tell you guys, just getting back to restaurants, good stuff, man. Good times. The restaurants are about to open up this weekend too, which is great. Can't wait. All right. That's looking all right. I'm going to be adding more to this, though. Adding some more cloth. But, let's see. I'm going to undo that a second, though. I'll duplicate this again so I can project some of that detail back. And my Dynamesh it, actually, too. I'm trying to think which way I want to do this first. Dynamesh, ZBrush, one after the other, one before the other. It's really similar to a painting. Oh, thanks. Doing good. How about yourself? Yeah. Yeah, I'm coping. I'm dealing. Getting to see a few friends more and more, and just getting out and talking with friends more, so it's good. I feel like this, some people disagree with this, but I think the whole lockdown has really helped a lot of people come together. I mean, of course, right now with the riots and other crap, that's not really helping anything, but the looting and rioting and burning shit down is not good, but I get, you know, the positive stuff behind all that. But that being said, I feel like prior to the looting and rioting and all the crap that's been going on, I saw a lot of people of all walks of life, of all races and genders, that just really were coming together. And I think a lot of them are still of course, together and friendly. I feel like that we found time to reconnect with a lot of people that we hadn't before, and there's a silver lining, to a lot of this. So anyway, sorry. Let's just. I think I'm going to Dynamesh this instead, so we can just delete. Well, actually, it's always good to keep a copy just in case. I'll leave that one there. Just hide it and do a Dynamesh instead. What is our floor size? Okay, so we probably want to keep this around 700, 800, 900. I don't know. I don't need blur. Let's see what happens here. Let it process. Yeah, 800 might be a little high, but oh well. Whatever, as you Dynamesh it again. The model pose is so great. Thanks, man. This Trunko has no wine. Yeah, staying home during lockdown really makes you appreciate going out and doing things. Yep. For real, I reached out to a lot of people I hadn't talked to in a while, but I missed some of that in-person chill. Oh, for sure, yeah. And I think, honestly, guys, if you've been in quarantine, if you yourself have been away from people and quarantined and have no symptoms after like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I mean, already over asymptomatic transmission is very rare. So it's like, if you're not showing symptoms, get out there, see some friends, see some family. And the testing seems to be because it's like half of the time it's wrong apparently or something. So I'm just like, if you guys aren't sick, if you're not coughing, you're not wheezing, you're not feeling ill, odds are you're fine. We've got to carry on. We've got to keep living. All right. Whew, 3 million. Jeez. Bring this down a little bit. Maybe like. Let's see, where's this? Okay. Wow, getting some light. Clicked on my welcome tablet properties. Yep, still at 3 million. Jeez, thought that would reduce it. Let's go to 200. Man, okay. All right. Let me make some changes here, and I think that'll allow it to reduce it more. Okay. So, but we're talking about cloth. Sorry. I'll just work with this for now. That's fine. This helps to smooth it out when it's a little less dense. But get it done. Sculptures. Was that a CNN link? Oh no. CNN is fake news. CNN is fake. I hate CNN though. I'm not a fan. I'm making a winged character as well. You can quickly explain how you made the wings. Can I explain? It's pretty simple. There's multiple ways to make wings. But let me fix you up here with cloth first. So someone was asking about cloth. All right. All right. So for the guy who was asking about cloth, I forget which one it was, but anyway, so cloth is basically hills and valleys, right? And it's conforming to whatever's below it or underneath it, whatever it's on top of, you know. So there's always like gravity pulling on it. So in this case, you have air flowing upward. If you have something billowing up, it actually might be easier to just do this. So I mean, cloth is there's really always different ways to do cloth. So I mean, it's all about either gravity or airflow, right? Like what is supporting the cloth? What is the weight of the cloth? You got to take all that into account. So if I wanted this like kind of billowing up in the air, see where her feet are. Because I want there to be a lot of like whoosh, you know, kind of that airflow coming out. And then we could just carve in here if we wanted this to be a little bit more of like a hollow area. I gotta move on to the clouds from Mufasa. But I just want to finish this up here. So I'm carving in here just to kind of shorten this basically. So I want to keep some of the idea that this is moved, right? So you gotta reduce its appearance. The bottom. Something out of the Renaissance. That's the idea. Inspiring 3D artists. That's exactly the type of the art piece I'm wanting to make. Oh, thanks, man. All right, buddy. We don't need to worry about people infecting another one. I mean, it's like, dude, people can do what they need to do. I'm not that worried about it either. And the solution is what then? If everyone's asymptomatic and they can transmit it asymptomatically, then what? And the testing's all like 40% accurate, if that. It's horrible testing. So it's like, we have antibodies. I'm pretty sure I had it and I got over it. I have to get my antibody tested eventually, but again, I'm like, well, if this 40% accuracy or whatever, like, I can't live in perpetual fear of like, I might be asymptomatic, then we could always all be asymptomatic. Like, where does it end? The viruses are something we're always going to have to contend with, and it feels like this one's not as bad as a lot of others. Anyway, I want this to be a viral discussion. And then if that's the case, people need to be really upset about all the protesters and rioting, because then that's spreading it like crazy. Anyway, don't think Enterprise Art Channel is really the place to discuss Cupid. Yeah, I'm not looking to discuss it, man. It's like, yeah, you guys can discuss amongst yourselves. My opinion is just that. It's just my opinion. You guys do whatever you need to do. Talk to your doctors. Look up the experts you want. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not freaking out over it at this point. It seems pretty clear. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of people are at this point. I think there's yeah. I think a lot of people are just starting to move on. It's like, what's the solution then? We all become dependent on government checks or what? Like, what are we doing? Yeah, got it, Max. Anyway, so cloth. I mean, I'm not sure really how to explain like techniques about cloth, really. You just got to think about what would it look like with either underlying surfaces or airflow. You know, it's always helpful to look up reference, of course. So look up whatever interests you as far as the shape of the cloth you're trying to, you know, trying to make it look, however you're trying to make it look. You can actually do something about it. Yeah. Yeah, guys, we don't need to keep berating the point. You know, I'm just saying I'm not that concerned about it at this point. I'm not symptomatic. I'm pretty sure I had it. I'm definitely better from whatever it was, so I have antibodies to whatever virus I had, and I'm not sick, and neither are a lot of the folks I'm spending time with, so we're good. But yeah, obviously follow the guidelines that you want, and obviously don't hang around with anyone who's older than 45 or so if you have any kind of symptoms, especially. Wear your masks, stay 6 feet apart, because viruses magically do not transfer past 6 feet. The wind cannot carry particles past 6 feet somehow. No, I know, I saw the videos. There's like a spray, and after a cough it can only go so far. But anyway, anyway. Whoa, jeez, what is that link? Keep your Dynamis resolution at 200 instead of 256. Not really. I mean, that's a 56% difference, I guess. I mean, that's like a. It's not really a percentage. It's whatever. I don't know. I don't know that there's a reason to keep it 200 versus 256. But yeah, I got a 200. Let's see what happens when I re-Dynamesh now. Bloop. Oh, did it already. Wow, that was fast. Yeah, so I had to change it. That was right. I forgot about that. It's been a while. Yeah, so there we go. Much lower res, much more manageable. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to do like a billowing kind of thing here with the cloth. So you got some kind of flow here. And so you just have the folds, you know, so I'm just using the standard brush and then a little bit of clay buildup sometimes to kind of, you know, add some bulk to stuff quickly. But a lot of the standard brush operations are good. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea, you know, of how you can make cloth. I mean, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. I'm not really sure. I mean, if you guys have any questions about specifics of cloth, let me know. Interesting lady. Keep it at multiples of 16. Was it processing cores or something like that? Anyway, it's just great. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, it's like whether it's 200, 256, I don't think it's going to really... It's not going to drastically change much as far as your speed and fluidity of working with this kind of stuff. Ask about Dynamesh versus ZRemesher. When would you switch to Remesher? Excuse me. Remesh would be good for clean topology and establishing some nice quads, nice flow of quads around the object you're modeling. In this case, I don't really need that ultra clean, like, you know, if I really wanted to do either like really nice UVing, of course. So it's different purposes. You know, Dynamesh is great for working toward unifying objects or elements of an object together for 3D printing, because you want to be able to like seal things together. When you want to UV something and have really nice texture maps across them, you want to do ZRemesh perhaps to keep a really nice low cage and then subdivide up from that. But here, where I know my means of operation, where everything's going to go to the end is going to be 3D printed, there's not really much of a need for concern for super clean, low cage topology. So that is why we are here. And I think I have to decide what to do with this area here, because that's a little weird. Let me just bring that down to see where the leg lies. So, yeah, I kind of want to bring that out. Anyway, to use a masking and pull out mesh technique for cloth. Pull out, you mean the extract feature? Sometimes I don't think I used that on this, but I could have. I don't know if I did that for this or not. It's been a while. I don't think I did. I think I might have just used Dynamesh and the clay buildup brush here. So kind of along these lines here. Kind of get some nice folds and strokes going this way. Let's see, go 300. Get a little of this. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting a little messy. Kind of inflate that a little bit, add some thickness to this. And then Dynamesh again. Process, smooth that out. There we go. I mean, her legs bother me. That area is just, ugh. That little inner thigh has just got wrecked. Hello. Alright. Quick save, just in case. Alright. Anyway, I feel like I was missing something here. Cloth. Wings. Oh yeah, someone was asking about the wings. I mean, this is just, you just block out some basic rectangles, subdivide, Dynamesh, add some clay buildup, some regular standard brush, sculpt in some lines in that. There you go. I mean, it's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty straightforward stuff, I think, from what I remember. From what I did for this, it wasn't that complicated. I also found some scan data that was easy to manipulate and mess with as well, so I think I encompassed that together from a while back for some wings. So but then I also did Trico's wings, which are like individual feathers for every single element of a wing, and that's way more involved than this. This is just like mashed together very quickly. And I'm still thinking about improving this a lot. These are not at all what the next version of this is going to look like. I keep looking at this cloth now, it just looks weird. Sorry, I missed a couple questions here. Don't use masking. Okay, do you have any tutorials or online courses? I do. I have one on mastering 3D printing. It's with Nomen. Let me get you the link. Nomen workshop. Printing, copy. So, Croshesh, sorry, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. There's a link for tutorial if you want to watch any of those. It's not free, sorry, but there's that. You'd pay me for some courses straight up. Oh, thanks, man. Well, if you watch this course on Nomen, it definitely helps me out a little bit. Like I don't really get a lot from it, but it's something. I'll be streaming more, I think, on my own here soon, on my own channels, on YouTube, on Twitch, and so forth on Instagram as well. So if you guys want to follow me on those areas, you can as well. And I'll probably be doing it a lot more frequently than once every 2 weeks like I am with Pixo here. So for info on following me, Twitch is... my username is Daniel Line Arts. That will be my channel. Make sure I'm spelling that right there. There we go. Instagram is Daniel Line Arts. And YouTube, same thing. Boom. There you go. Thanks, Max. Twitch is right above your question. Dr. Bear Vorklan? Vorklan? If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's correct. My Twitch. No, not Twitter, Twitch. Yeah, it's Daniel Line Arts. So it's twitch.tv, sorry, not twitch.com. Copy. Beard for key on. Okay. There's my Twitch. Forgot it was Twitch. Yeah, twitch.tv. So there we go. My pleasure, guys. All right. So I'm gonna go for a little bit longer, past 10. Because I said I would do some work on Mufasa. So I'm gonna bring his clouds in here quickly, just to kind of get some sort of feel for how that's gonna look. And then I'll work on him a little bit, and then I'll call it an evening. So I still feel like this, I'm not happy with this because I just did it quickly. This cloth, I kind of want to... I think I might like it better if it's kind of almost like this, where it's kind of exposing the inside out to the front. And I kind of mush this down. Yeah, I kind of prefer that. I think that feels a little bit more... Still got to work with it, but I just feel a little bit happier with that. And I'm going to move her other leg too, but I'll probably do that next round. Or off stream. Save this quick. Let's do this number 5. Boop. Alright, and saved. Alright, And jump over to Mufasa. So this is, I think, is what I started streaming originally when I first jumped in here with Pixo for streaming. So if you guys haven't seen this before, this is a concept sculpture I've taken further, but just have, just kind of hit some creative blocks, I guess, with just figuring things out with the clouds and whatever. But this was originally kind of sculpted on the time I was working on Lion King for this sequence, and I kind of re-storyboarded this entire sequence for the show. It didn't make it into the movie because they hired me like 3 months before the I think it was 2 months, something like that, before the show premiered, before the movie premiered. So it's a bummer because that whole sequence would have been epic from what I designed with storyboards and this whole model and the way he revealed himself. I had this whole shooting star coming down into the atmosphere, and it really wasn't a shooting star, it was the soul of Mufasa, and they kind of interacted with this storm cloud that was this whole big storm front that was in front of the lake across from Simba, and he heard his name being called out. This like shooting star, the soul of Mufasa, entered these clouds that had lightning, and the lightning pulled up from the ground into the clouds, from the clouds sort of reached out to the stars, entered the clouds, and sort of this beautiful, almost gaseous electric explosion kind of happens in the clouds as then it pulls all the water away like a helicopter hovering over the water, and it splashes and the wind blows over Simba and the water hits the camera, and you have all this light and this beautiful manifestation of like almost like a star inside the clouds, almost like a nebula kind of looking element glowing, and it sort of fleshed out Mufasa in the clouds, and then you had like lightning inside of around his eyes and around his heart area, and then it would flow into the clouds surrounding him as they would build up and billow and start to turn into that whole sort of like tunnel that you saw in the original cartoon. And then he would flow away as his mane would wash over his face and kind of flow up into an actual storm system that I looked up all this stuff for actual, it's called an anvil cloud storm system. And that's how his mane and his face would kind of flow away and up into the atmosphere. As it would reach so high into the sky, they would kind of breach the curvature of the earth a little bit for light. And so you'd get this beautiful, like, even though it was at nighttime at that point, it was like the Milky Way was in the background with the storm front low in the horizon. The clouds reached so far up that you would start to see the sun reflecting off of the clouds at the height of the peak of the cloud storm system. And I'm not sure if this actually could happen in that angle, but whatever. And then the orange of the light of the sun would just barely hitting the tips of those clouds would fade into the blue of the night, and that those clouds kind of pulled away with the lightning and storm as it kind of washed over. So it was a really dramatic, beautiful, and epic reimagining of the original. But it was they loved it. Jon Favreau apparently told his assistant to send us a message about everything, and he just said, "Man, I wish we would have hired Daniel like 3 months ago because this is awesome. It's more than we thought, but it's also too much to implement now. We didn't, they were looking for someone to help them with this whole process of figuring out what Mufasa would look like in the clouds." And they loved what I produced, but there wasn't enough time to put it in the movie, so a real bummer. But bittersweet, because at least he saw my work, he liked it, other people liked it a lot. So I think if we had had time, if I was hired sooner, I probably would have made it into the movie. So anyway, this is kind of like a love letter to that sequence that I never got to really flesh out fully or see realized. So I'm going to be giving this as a little like commemorative statue to John and to my friend and art director Mishi McKeag, who brought me on board to the project at MPC when we were working on it. So anyway, also looking at these clouds, I'm like, I can repurpose some of these to be in my Cupid piece. So I'm going to kind of take some of these and bring them over there. So yeah. Thanks, Max. Thanks, guys. Which brushes do the spirals? Oh yeah, I can show you. It's spiral brush. Yeah, that's what I was using for that. It's super convenient for this kind of thing, and there's not a lot of places where you can use it though. I find that there's not a lot of I don't find anyway a lot of opportunities to use a spiral brush much. But yeah, so your spiral brush is this guy. Just rolls it around your brush very quickly, so it's like a little bit goes a fair amount of way, depending on how much you curl. And if you want it to go the other way, you go into your brush palette, and then you go into, what is it, twist, and you pull this from, it's at 0.2, so you might want to invert that, and then you can go the other way. Or you could always just flip your model too if you wanted to do it another way like that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna mess with those too much right now. I just want to take some of these, and I'll be repurposing. I mean, I'll be, editing these a lot in the other version as well. But just thought some of this really has that same kind of sort of general appeal that I'd want to apply to air billowing out from underneath a powerful downward air draft. Has some sort of spiral brush texture on beards and hair, and so there's that. Yeah, that's true. That's true. What does a character modeler do in production? Like doing a detailed model and send to the rig team? And how much does the modeler earn a year? That varies. It depends how good are you at negotiating. I need my ArtStation now. My ArtStation is really kind of lackluster, dude. I'll give it to you, but I don't update it frequently at all. I post most of my stuff on Instagram. I just hate having to maintain so many sites. It's like, God, I mean, I have my website. I don't even know what my ArtStation is. Probably ArtStation / Daniel Line Arts. I don't even know. And it's not that I don't like the site. I just get tired of having to, like I said, just maintain so many sites. I just get burned out. Here's my ArtStation. It's old stuff in there. I mean, I guess it's all decent, but it looks really good in ghost mode. Oh yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it kind of does, right? Yeah, I wish I had the actual images from my time at NPC, but that's all on their servers, so I don't have access to that. I need to ask my art director if she can request them, because they never used them in the end for anything, unfortunately, just to look at. Since a lot of digital artifacts in the window. Huh. I don't know. It could be just my shitty internet. It could be just that freaking Spectrum just sucks. I don't know. Let me check my... Yeah, I mean, my CPU usage is really low. Memory's really low. It says OBS is really using a lot of power, but... So what? It's not a big deal. I don't know. I'm not sure what else is eating up bandwidth. I mean, I should do speed test, I guess. You can check that out. Are you guys seeing a lot of artifacts in the stream? These are artifacts bugs as well. Shit. That's weird. Just for a couple seconds. I don't know. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I don't have the highest speed internet. I have like middle of the road, I guess, like their first offer. But now they sent me a new offer, and it's like faster for cheaper. So I'm like, all right, should probably just upgrade, I guess. Could be that, or it could be OBS. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on, but maybe it's just my internet connection. Yeah, my internet speed seems decent, but just did a speed test, but I don't know. Could be a couple things. Who knows? Got to figure it out. It happens when you Alt-Tab. Now it's happening a bit. Oh yeah, it was happening a lot because I was doing a speed test. I just ran it. So maybe it was just bandwidth being crushed. And I'm listening to some music, but I mean, again, it's not like... Listening to SoundCloud doesn't suck in a lot of bandwidth. It's pretty low. It's pretty low draw. I'm going to close down some of my other windows that I've opened in Chrome. See if that helps. Now I just have like one window open. It's just SoundCloud. Alright, sorry, backing up here. Some questions. Keeps happening on and off. Now it's escalating. What will you do with the waste extra filament? Well, this won't be printed with filament, but in general, I have to throw it away. I mean, filament, actually, PLA is great because it is biodegradable. So I feel really a lot better about throwing away PLA filament than I do about pretty much any other kind of plastic, because at least PLA can biodegrade in sunlight and with the right amount of bacteria. But with like Formlab stuff, unfortunately, the resin supports, that's plastic that just has to be tossed. There's nothing I can really do about it. How long did Mufasa take you to sculpt? Okay, don't worry about it. Can you share your best way to do eyelids? Eyelids. Yeah, eyelids. It's those are. Is PLA more expensive? No, PLA is cheap. PLA is super cheap. What was the other question? So everyone's asking how long it took to sculpt. I mean, it was on and off over the course of like a week or two, I think. It wasn't very long. This was like typically, because this was basically done at the same time as I was working at NPC. I was doing this on my own, like a different concept version of it, but it was kind of the same basis, of course. So yeah, I would say roughly it was like, all this. I mean, this has been reworked a bit too since I left it and brought it on stream. So, I would say there's been a couple, I mean, altogether, cumulatively, because I only do like an hour or two on the stream, and then I wouldn't touch it for a long time. And that was the only time I was working on it, off after I was working at NPC. So, I don't know. I'd say a good week or two, maybe at the most, has been altogether on this. Just working things out, throwing things away that didn't work, and rehashing some areas and ideas. And during the time that I was spending originally on it, when it was just like when I was at NPC working, and it was like this is not the same model, of course, but what I did at NPC was very similar. I did a lot of storyboarding as well for it and other things, so it wasn't just modeling. It was like modeling it, getting it ready, and then photoshopping a bunch of stuff together to make it look photoreal-ish, and doing all that. So it was a lot. It was a lot of different things mashed together to kind of make it look like a whole photoreal storyboard, and it turned out great. Which is why I'm bummed I don't have it to show anybody. But yeah, this took around a week or so. So I'll see about telling you about eyelids in a minute. But I usually don't sculpt eyelids from scratch. You know what I mean? Like usually I'm starting with a base mesh of an animal or a character or something, and it usually has decent topology. But I mean, you want eyelids. I mean, you're talking about sculpting eyelids, or are you talking about like production ready eyelids to blink? Like, what kind of eyelids are you looking for? If you just want to model eyelids that are going to be on a sculpture that's not going to be animated or moving at all, it's one thing. If you want eyelids that blink, there's a whole other process for that. Working on a Z project now that's 4.7 million. Having a hard time keeping the total points down. Say you're 15 million on your final. You have high poly, or how do you manage it? I guess I'm assuming you mean, is your item high because there are a lot of appended tools? All the above. It's high right now because everything is higher res to get. Some of it's in Dynamesh. Some of it's just been. I think this is Z-remeshed from the look of it. Was this Z-remeshed? What was this? I think this was Dynameshed. Yeah, is this still in Dynamesh mode? No. But this was Dynameshed. You can tell by just the crazy amount of quads and high density grid that's going on there. This was obviously Z-remeshed. Yeah, it's been a while since I touched this. You can see how it's very clearly quadded here, and then it's kind of stretched out there. Yeah, so it's dense because I've subdivided up in some cases a lot, and I also wanted a lot of resolution for some of this detailing. Like this was obviously Dynameshed. Yeah, this is still in Dynamesh mode. So yeah, it's all sort of in flow. It's all fluid right now. So this is not at all finished, or again, it's all in it's a middle phase. And I'm probably actually going to bring in a ring of clouds behind him here to kind of complete that arc, like tunnel of clouds, like you saw in the original when he's speaking to Simba. Such a great scene. I love it. I mean, I've been rewatching that scene again recently as I've been getting back to this again, and I'm just like, man, that original the wording and the music and the sound design is just so powerful. It's so emotional and beautiful, and really like a god-like figure talking to his son. Really just beautiful and epic. Love it. So good. I think the technicality of the original, I mean, of the new one is amazing and beautiful, incredible work. But it's like, man, and it's not to knock any of the actors, but I kind of wish they would have just used the audio from the original, just not messed with that at all, just left it exactly the same, and just done the hyper-real CG, and just matched it, basically shot for shot. Maybe extend a few things here and there, or do some clever finagling, because all the voice actors are still alive, so you could have had some of the same people come back to do an extra line or two, or redo something here or there. But I just felt like the original is just so ingrained, and it's like, I look at it like this when it comes to the audio side of things. You hear a good song, you hear the original song, you know the song. Anyone who does a cover of it that's not even nearly as good, which is most covers, it just hurts. It's like almost audibly painful for you to hear it, because it's you know what the right sound should be and what the right syncopation and tonality and pronunciation, and everything just has a certain locked in, right, crystallized version of it in your memory. And I think so many of us have watched Lion King so many times as kids and grown up with it, and the music is just so iconic. Everything was just so well done. I really had no gripes about the original. Even watching it again, I mean, like, little things here and there could be improved or extended or gone a little deeper or whatever, but overall it's just has such a great flow to everything. I just felt like the new ones audibly just didn't compare to me. I wasn't really happy with the voice acting at all. It just felt like a lot of line reading. It really didn't feel like as life breathed and authentic as the original across the board. I think the actor who did young Simba was probably the best in my opinion. Anyway, so I'm a little critical of things. Won't lie. But I think that anyone who has a strong amount of direction and taste and sense of things will probably have the same feelings about things in general. I mean, I'm a very picky person though too. Like I said, I'm a detail freak, so I'm probably more hyper attuned to things than some other people who probably don't care at all. So again, just my opinion. Each their own. Anyway, sorry. Questions I missed. Let's see. So yeah, it's why it's so high. It's because of the process of all these different elements that are going into it. Highlights with right topology, but only using ZBrush. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be challenging. I don't really do that a lot in here, but I try to guide you through some of that. Are you just going to project it at the end? Am I just going to project? Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Am I going to project it at the end? Project what exactly at the end? And thanks for the kind words. Looks amazing. Good night, all. Good luck. Rio, good night. Take care, buddy. So I'm not sure what you mean by project all, or project it at the end. I am going to merge a lot of these things together and Boolean certain elements together. I'm going to keep other parts separate depending on how I want to wire up. I'm going to put LEDs in this and some other things. So there's some technical bits behind this that'll be important. Anyway, so let me just grab some of this stuff and bring it over to Cupid. This might be might be a huge scale difference here. We'll see. Put that below this one. Oh wow, yeah, there's a big difference, but it's not the way I thought it was going to go. Thought it would be the inversion of that. No. No, don't do that. There we go, sorry. Blow this sucker up. Too big, alright. Oh, you think he means for final render? Oh, well, this won't be rendered. I mean, this isn't going for. Yeah, this isn't going to be rendered at all. This is going to be 3D printed. Yeah, no, yeah, this is all going to be 3D printed, buddy. Yeah. I mean, I could easily texture it in like poly paint kind of way, and then just and then just go forward from there. But so this will be kind of pulling out from there. And now we're going to bring this guy over there. Oh, wrong one. There we go. And insert second cloud. Yeah. Scale this guy up. Tucking this in there a bit. This is coming off the stone. Sorry, so what are the questions here? Is low poly count affect the details after printing? Does low poly count affect the details after printing? Yeah, I mean, it would if you go too low. I'll decimate things a lot before I'll go through decimation, so it tessellates everything and reduces the poly count to, around 1 million or less is what I'll try to aim for. So, all right, I see it makes sense. Kind of figured after you said less light, it's less inside, yeah. How do you import subtools like the clouds? Simple. I mean, you just gotta, I'll show you again in a second here. When you have 2 or more tools or models open, it's relatively straightforward. One sec here. If I don't position this right, it might just look like she's ripping a giant fart. 12-year-old me couldn't help it. I'm sorry. Toot. Yeah. So let's see here. So something that makes a little bit more sense might be to bring this, kind of do a curving out from how the wings are hitting down. And so it doesn't look like she's just ripping a fart, kind of put the inner area, it still kind of looks like it, but I'll make sure it doesn't as best I can. And it's going to go up like that, and then this guy is going to come more over here. It's actually be more similar in the positioning to it was in Mufasa's piece. This will look cool, kind of pouring off of the stone too. I think that'll be a fun area to work on. Yeah, this is going to have to be, of course, reworked a bit more. But you guys get what I'm trying to go for here. Almost like a rocket launch, basically, if you think about, you know, how everything comes out when you see a rocket go up, sort of the same thing. Same general idea, a little less rocket-like, but how else do you show dust clouds other than the way that a rocket would sort of kick them up too? Maybe a little bit more swirly, actually. So I might actually add more swirls in the end than not. Okay, so you were asking about how to... nice, posh. Laughing out loud. Is it okay for keeping 17 million polys for printing? Yeah, no, you don't want to keep 17 million for printing. I mean, some programs might be able to handle it, you know, if you have to keep it that way. But if that's only if you have so much detail in there that you don't want to lose. But I can't imagine you can still decimate it to be much less than 17 million. So no, this is not going to stay at 17 million. No, this is all still very much. It's a very fluid situation here. It's not at all finalized by any means. So to import clouds, so I switch over here in your tool palette. You can just barely see, I think, underneath my camera there. There you have all your different tools, all your different models and objects here. So just switch over to your other one and select whatever other element you want to bring into that scene, right? I actually bring that over too. Then you switch, so you select that, right? So I'm highlighting this cloud patch that I want to bring over, and then I go back to my Cupid model. So we're back here, and then you come down here in your tool palette and subtools. Excuse me. Then you go to insert, and then you find the element here in your little quick pick window that you get from hitting the insert button. Find the model you want to bring in, tap that, boom, it's in your scene now. It's right here, right below the other one. But it's tiny because there's a scale difference. So what you want to do is hit scale and hit Alt, hit that little reset orientation. Then I hit this guy, which is go to unmask mesh center. Boom. So now I'm dead center in the mass of this object, this subtool. And then I just use the yellow square to scale it up. I probably don't want to go that big. And then just move this guy around, and it's in your scene. It's very straightforward. Wing power, all the dust makes a lot of dynamics. Yeah, totally. And it also will be used to kind of interact with. I'm going to pull it up here a little bit too, so it's kind of connected to the wings a little bit, so that adds a lot more support for this whole thing to connect to the wings, so it holds itself up. How do I want to do this? Fart? No. Oh, wrong one here. Do that. Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about touching the wings with this yet. I gotta crack that. This means these guys have to be a bit more vertical. A bit more like so. I don't know. I'm gonna have to just keep fiddling with this a little bit too, just to get the right. I want the billow to be in the right place, and yet have it diminished where it's originating from. Not her rear. See, but these areas here will be kind of cool to work on, because that means that, you know, you got to have streaks and flows and, you know, this kind of stuff where you're going to see like a lot of this kind of pushing out from the Air Force that's directly above it. Yeah, what is this one in? Is this Dynamished? Okay, yeah. Bring us 300. Come on, work with me here. All right. This is where sculpting for me is the most fun, though, is when you really get to kind of tell a story in what you're doing. I mean, it's always rewarding and cool to just model something in T-pose or whatever that's going to be given life, but when you know that you are the beginning and the end of something, you know, you're the ultimate creator of something, you've got full control over the pose and the environment. You know, and I think that's just the inner director in me that's pushing to get to just making my own films and really telling dramatic, epic, exciting stories. The closest I can get to immediately right now with, of course, I'm learning Unreal, and that's really going to give me that ability more democratized, but this is like the next best thing, which is visual storytelling, visual communication via an elaborate sculpture, where you kind of get to really feel some energy and, you know, tell a story through the look of something. A moment captured, almost like a photograph, kind of. Same idea, but in 3D. Anyway, this is all still really rough, of course. This is not quite there at all, but just getting that feel. Sorry, what did I miss? Can you show us the cleaning process, preparing for printing after it's done? I can, but we're not there just yet. The process for cleaning it up, getting ready for print's pretty involved. I mean, that would take a lot longer than what I'm scheduled to do tonight. Sculpting objects matter on how large or small you should go for, depending on what you're sculpting. Not sure exactly what you're asking. Does it matter how large or small they are, depending on what you're sculpting? Maybe can you maybe rephrase the question? Does scaling objects matter on how large or small you should go for? I'm not sure. I mean, it's scaling things in general. I mean, when you, I guess, I'm looking at this for my end, like whether Mufasa is like scaled huge or tiny in this case, and this thing is scaled huge, I know where in the end I want this to be about 2 feet, 3 feet tall, probably like 2.5 feet tall, and that means that I'll just have to break it up into chunks that'll be 7 inches by 6 by 6, or 7 by 5 by 5.5 by 5.5, whatever the build volume of the Form 3 is. So I'll have to have breaks in certain areas. Logical break points would be like maybe cutting his head off like underneath the jawline or at the clavicle, or underneath like the pectoral muscles. Keep that all in one piece with his arm and everything all in one piece if I can. The wings might be in 2 pieces, but then I'll have the feathers kind of be the overlap for the seam so that they connect, and insert underneath each other. That's what I did for Trico. If you go to my site, you can see. Did I give you guys my site? I gave you my art station, but my actual site, if you want to see some of my most current work, you can go there. Oh yeah, I did have some. That reminds me, I forgot my YouTube channel. I have a video. I did this interview with a friend of mine. She was doing a bunch of stuff, and there's a little. It's kind of like a mini reel. It's not really my reel for this year, but it's some of my most recent work. So if you guys want to check this out to see some of the stuff, I have some of the recreated. I did some quick recreations of. I didn't do all of them. I need to do more of my storyboards for Lion King. I need to finish up those and kind of do a reimagining, showing everybody what I was reimagining for that, because I think it's a shame that nobody's really seen it. I just have to tell people about it, which everyone's minds are different. But if you wanted to check this out, this is kind of like a mini reel, but also it shows some photos of me with Jeff Goldblum and some other friend of mine at the end, because we were going to talk about that because I got to meet him and give him a raptor and other things. So this is kind of like, it's a reel, but it also has other elements in it. So something fun to check out, though. Just kind of a hype reel for an interview that she was doing with me. But it's basically just a reel of my most popular or recent work. So there you go. You can see a quick little snippet of some kind of remade storyboards for Lion King in there. Preparing for printing next stream, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Preparing for printing's a lot. And that's, again, if you watch my course, that covers all that in depth, like that for very serious approach to how you want to work on that, because there's a lot to prepping things for. Again, depending on what the printer is and what your size of your model is and all of that. I mean, I could easily prep this for printing as one big piece at the end, but one big piece meaning it would only be about this tall in the end, so I want this to be massive, though. So that means it's a lot of different parts that I don't have to snap together. And so that's just a whole other workflow. So the scaling question, though, sorry. So Kroshish, is that how you say it? Kroshish Dova? If you want to maybe, I don't know, scaling objects matter, how large or small. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I'm really able to. You have to give me a better rephrasing of that question, maybe, for me to answer it correctly. I don't want to misstate anything. I don't know. Yeah, shit. So one thing I don't like about this history line is I bump it sometimes when I'm going up here to change brush sizes. But I love the undo history. It's super useful. Yeah, see, like here, I think this might actually be a good place for the curls to kind of flow in. Kind of circling from downward to inward. Maybe not, but we'll see. So I just go to spiral quick. Oh, it's going the other way. Kind of needs to be just more of a blob right now. Just a nice formal blob. Just a nice little hill. There's a happy little hill. And let's just take your brush and make some happy little trees. Anyone else remember Bob Ross from back in the day and how, man, he was on PBS when I was a kid, and I would listen to him and I'd love watching him paint, and I'd always fall asleep because his voice was so relaxing and just like, okay, now we're just gonna do this, and I would just pass out and be like, oh, this is so cool. Just gone. Then I'd wake up and they'd have like that Stargazer show, which I love too. It was this like really wonderful, friendly older gentleman who would come on and be like, all right, my stargazers, today we're going to talk about this constellation. And oh my god, nostalgia. Anybody else remember PBS back in the day? We're talking like 80s, 90s. Nobody? Okay. I'm alone in my memories here of this. I don't know. I was a big watcher of a big purveyor of a consumer of PBS when I was a kid. I remember reading Rainbow and LeVar Burton and Sesame Street and all that good stuff. Whoosh. Yeah, we're getting some of that stuff in here now. Alright, this is kind of looking cool. I really like that, actually. It's beautiful. That brush is awesome. Whoever came up with that brush is a goddamn genius. It's probably Ophir, I guess. I don't know. For those who don't know, Ophir Alon? Ophir is the brain behind ZBrush. He is the guy. There are definitely people who've Z-scripted other things in here, but he is the mastermind behind all of this, and I definitely owe him a lot. I owe him my career. I mean, it's because of ZBrush that I have a career in visual effects, really, and 3D printing and all this stuff. It's an amazing piece of software, I think, that people take for granted a lot, really, now. No, I'm getting too crazy there. It's looking pretty cool. It's coming together. Still gonna have to put some more stuff in here too to kind of support the wings a bit further. But we're getting there. I'm gonna have to come up with some clever ways to have it look good from multiple angles. And I mean, I don't know how much I'll be able to do that. Probably only from the back and the front, I guess, because the sides might be just taken up by some of these clouds. Some of the billowing. Anyway, I guess I didn't really get much to Mufasa today, unfortunately. But we're about almost 40 minutes past time, so I think I'm probably going to call it here. Save this out before we go further. What do we got? Wake up when he cleaned his brushes. He would be working in if you were not a sculptor. What would you be working in if it were a sculptor? Well, what I'm working toward now, directing my own films, filmmaking. I'm a storyteller. It's really what I am. I've always been. It's one of those things when you were a kid. I think you see things that inspire you, but maybe you don't really think I can do that. You just admire it, and then you start developing your ambitions in life and your desires, and I think eventually you reach a point where you say, "This is what I was born to be," or "This is what I'm meant to do," and then you got to work toward that, right? And it's been this growth process for me. I drew since I was a little kid, but I think my parents didn't realize they created like creative freaks of nature in my sister and I. My sister's an amazing musician. She was like best in the nation at 18. She's an incredible pianist and violinist and harpist. I mean, she plays multiple instruments and she's great at all of them. It's insane. Now she works in medicine. I originally went into medicine after high school. Went to college, biopremed, and then worked a couple years in an ER and realized I just wasn't happy watching people suffer and die a lot. As much as it was rewarding to help them, I think you really have to be called to be a physician, even a nurse too. I mean, all of that. It takes a special personality to really go in and day out and deal with that and not drag it home with you or not really keep that pain. So I really didn't want to become callous, and that's what I would have had to become to really function. So I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but then it wound up being no. I would still find so much joy in going back to my passions and loves of great movies, great books. So storytelling, filmmaking, really, the visual medium. Would you consider doing a comic book to pitch your movie? I've thought about it, but I don't know. Comics, it just feels. I mean, I've been on and off writing a set of novels, really, since college, and they revolve around the angelic and demonic in the near future, and a lot of really exciting ideas. I think that no one's ever really touched, and no one's ever done it the way I've conceived of it. But it's in a way that really ramps people up in a really palatable way, So yeah, I think I don't know. I think I might try to finish those books at one point, and then go from there. And I was actually illustrating them as well, but like photoreal, like they were scenes out of a movie. Like I was building props and everything. Like it wasn't even. I was doing it way before cosplay was ever a thing, but it was just so many things were designed and photographically real. I don't know. I might still go that route with the books. We'll see. Or I might just. Who knows if I can get my short films off the ground this way and then just go to making them films like they were originally conceived to be in the first place. That's probably what I'll do too. Well, no, we'll see. But comics, yeah, maybe. I don't know. It feels like comics are sadly they're diminishing in their. I don't know if they come back. I remember hearing that they were like going lower and lower in sales. I don't know. Not sure if that was just bad choices because of Marvel or DC changing things up too much, or if it's just that people are not buying comics as much anymore. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, a graphic novel is like a glorified storyboard, I guess, for if you're looking to really make a film. I guess it's like a really intricate storyboard. But yeah, I've been storyboarding some of my short pitch pieces right now because it's like if your film can only, at the end of the day, I would say like if your film doesn't operate in a way that you have to view it, if you could just listen to it or just read it only without, reading it's different in the script because you're describing scenes. But I think visual medium is so important. So I think storyboarding is almost more important than just the script. Really, if you really have a vision for something, you should be able to storyboard it out rather than just talk about it. Have really crystallized, clear imagery in your head, and that's how I operate with a lot of my projects, things I want to work on. I have very clear visions for things and extremely well thought out, paced, even syncopated to music sometimes, like all that. So it's I view things in really broad, big, detailed, like micro, macro, like crazy kind of levels of completion. So yeah, I think that's why I want to move into filmmaking, because I really see where I want to take things, and sculpting and drawing just don't cut it enough for me. I think much bigger. So let's see, I was just wondering if it's mandatory to sculpt something exactly like real life, scaling wise. For example, building would obviously be taller than sculpting human. How does scaling work in ZBrush? Okay. I mean, scaling in general, it's not really that important. The only thing that scale matters in, I think, in ZBrush really, because you can always infinitely scale up or down. You're looking at real estate for, let me think of the best way to phrase this. So like your grid kind of gives you parameters for relative scale to how detailed or non-detailed something will be if you Dynamesh it. So an example, let's just start with a fresh example here. All right, so we got a sphere. Let me bring it down to a cube because this is a polysphere. So reconstruct it, go to cube, delete higher. So right now, this is it. We got 8 sides, right? We got eight points, I should say, 6 sides, right? 2, 4, 6. So, so this is our grid size. And now if we go to Dynamesh, let's put this at 256 because somebody else liked that number. Turn blur to 0. Now we Dynamesh it. Boom. We got 129,000 points at this scale. Okay. So now that's that. Now let me undo that. Go back. That's 129,000. And we're going to scale this guy up to fill up the volume of that floor grid. All right. So we're see that green outline in the red. It's almost encompassing the entire floor grid. So now this might take a while. I'm going to put this again at 256. Same exact setting, but the scale relative to the grid is much bigger now. Now I'm going to hit Dynamesh. We'll wait a second here. Might have to wait a while. This is, there we go. Okay, so now it's at 3 million. It Dynameshed it to 3 million polys. So right there you can see that the scale size matters a lot, right? When it comes to Dynamesh. So that's your relative scale importance when it comes to scale in ZBrush. Otherwise, how does scaling work? There's a couple areas where you can mess with scale. There's right here in export. There's scale down here. Normally, I like to keep this around 1, maybe 2. I know sometimes that can change depending on other projects. I think in general it's safe to keep it at 1. That's scaling. Usually I won't group on when you export anything out, though. There's also, though, a better way to do scaling now in ZBrush, which seems to be the most standard way that makes most sense. There's Scale Master. So in Scale Master, this lets you set real-world scale in the relative ZBrush environment. So then this will be something that if you export out an STL, it should have these real-world units attached to it. So let's see. So if you want to get the scale of whatever you're looking at right now and relative to the environment of ZBrush, you just hit sliders to subtool size. Sometimes you need to hit it twice so that it actually gets it. So when it comes to millimeters, I don't know why it's off here a little bit by decimal point down the line, but basically 1.155. Sorry, I got like a freaking gnat or something. So that is 1 millimeter, 0.1, right? It's very tiny. So we go to inches now. We go again. We got 0.0045. So it's very small. So you want to go bigger. It seems to like millimeters the most because that's like its native form. So then let's say we want this to be big. We want this to be, I don't know. Let's see, 5 inches. I'm not sure exactly what that comes out to, but I don't know, maybe was that like 20? Is that like 20 millimeters? I don't know. Let's do that. So now we want to resize the tool. And if we had multiple subtools in here, we didn't want to resize all of them, just wanted to do one. We'd untick this box that says all, but we can leave it on now because there's no other subtools in here. We say resize subtool. All right, bam. Now, I don't know conversions of millimeters to inches off the top of my head, but let's see what it is in inches. Ah, I was wrong. See, it's not even an inch yet. So then we wanted to say, let's go to 1 inch. All right, so 1 inch cubed. Boom. Now we check it again. It's 1 inch squared. So right here, that's 1 inch. And from here, you can use that as a reference point to go and sculpt something else, you know. And you can always just work in millimeters, though, and then scale it up later. So we put here like, let's do it like, we go back down to 20. And resize subtool. Bam. And there we go, 20 millimeters. So, I mean, that's scaling in ZBrush, very basic approach to it. I forget what the exponent is in regards to this factor, scale factor. I think it's like, it multiplies it by 36 or so. I don't remember. Someone told me this once a long time ago, and I can't remember exactly how it's relevant. I remember one time, what did they have? Is it 100 for something? And then how does that affect everything else? I forget. Maybe it just affects like exporting out. No, yeah, see that so that 100, it multiplies that. So here I went and clicked on sliders to subtool size, and now it brought up to 2000, right? So right there, it is a multiplier in here. So that was at 20, and then it added whatever times 100 here. So, was it 20? Yeah, it was 20. Yeah. So anyway, whatever. I'm not a mathematician, but we got some alternate ways of messing with scale here in ZBrush that can get confusing. So you want to keep this either at 1 or 100, depends on your needs for how big you need things to go. But I typically, usually operate with this with it being at 1, and then I just go forward from there with Scale Master. You can also do things in the 3D Print Hub. This has some scaling in there as well. But see, this gives you other options, but this can get confusing. So we want it at 20 millimeters. But you can do that, update size ratios, and then that'll modify things. But I think that can get messy if I'm not mistaken. So I would say stick with Scale Master. Use these tools, and they have some great videos, I believe, on the Z Classroom covering how to use Scale Master, if I'm not mistaken, or on their YouTube channel. Going through all these things in a bit more detail, and they kind of just go down the line through everything. You can get little helper, or is it helper unit? Yeah, 1 unit helper. So this will give you a unit that's, let's see here, I think it produces a new subtool, and that's 1 unit to the scaling units you're using to operate in this world. So in this case, this helper unit is 1 unit of a millimeter. So it's 1 millimeter, in other words. So that's to show you, like, how many. So I get this is 20 millimeters, but how can I really visualize it better? So this can give you that, and also gives you a reference point if you want something to always be the standard of like 1 inch, 1 millimeter, whatever. Create a little helper unit that always gives you a reference point for what your unit scale is in squared, and you can use that then as a way to gauge your scaling. But again, if you're sculpting something that you want to 3D print, another easy way to do that is like create your 3D printing bounding box. So let's say that your 3D printer, for instance, like the Form 3, I believe it's, what is it? It's inches. It's 5.6, or is it? No, it's 5.7. 5.7 by 5.7. It's not relative now. So then the other one's 6.9, I believe. And we're going to resize just this one. It's giving us an error because it's going to create something bigger than 100. Let's see though. Yeah, it can be weird with that sometimes. I don't know why. Alright, that's weird. So that might be because this needs to be increased. So we'll bring this up to 50. Sliders to subtool. Let's try this again. That's 5.7. I forget why this does this. I remember I figured it out, but it was like wouldn't be live like this. So this might be a little embarrassing. Yeah, resizing current subtools based on selected dimensions. Create larger than 100. So distort the selection subtool. Continue. Sure, and that's not cool. Yeah, I gotta talk to shit. I forget why this does that. 'Cause that's annoying. Crap. Well, sorry. That probably was a little too confusing for a lot of people because I forget why it doesn't like to do inches in this manner. That's annoying. I don't know. I'll figure that out for next stream and let you guys know. I'm sure you could probably Google this though and get a faster answer than what I'm doing. But anyway, that gives you an idea. So yeah. I don't know, guys. Does that help at all? Did that help at all? I don't know. Hopefully. Anyway, I forget why that happens when you go from millimeters to inches. There's something in this whole conversion. This is something that they really should rectify in ZBrush. I think that's one minor complaint I have, is that the whole scaling thing here to go from millimeters to inches and back and forth, it's not happy, it's angry. So maybe I just need to do that. I don't know. Let's see. So now it knows that it's 78 inches, and I want to do 5 point. Very small. It shouldn't bring it past 100. This is very small. This is not 5 point. This is not 5.7 thousand. This is 5. Let's see. Will that work now? Okay. Oh, phone call. Let's try that again. Come on. No. Okay. I don't know what's going on. A little weird. A little effed up. I don't know. Scaling is weird in ZBrush. I will tell you that. But anyway, the answers are out there. Alright, yeah, I hope that helps. Sorry for confusing anybody. I still get messed up with some of the stuff in scaling. It's the one area of ZBrush that's just not super clean and crisp and tidy. But yeah, the answers are out there. I don't know. Normally I can scale something out to 5 inches, no problem, but something's messed up right now. Anyway, I should get going. We're about an hour past time. Thankfully no one else is after me. But yeah, for those of you who stuck with me this whole way, thank you. I appreciate the attendance and the kind words and thoughts. I've posted before. I'll post again. If you guys want to follow me on YouTube or Instagram or all the above, you can find me at all those places by looking up this username. Daniel Lionarts. Feel free to follow me on there, and I should be streaming this weekend at some point, a game or two, finally, for sure, on YouTube and I think Twitch as well. Playing some games with some friends probably too. So we'll have some fun, and then I'll definitely be sculpting and doing some other artwork, streaming it as well. So yeah.